Hello everyone and welcome back to some more Warhammer 40k kill team for the channel, and this will be the first video where we attempt to use the entirety of the current edition of the rules, leaving behind the starter set rules and just going for it, but you know, don't expect perfect play, bear with us. It's the third time we played now, I think, fourth, maybe fourth, either way. Early, still learning, still going, there will be mistakes. And today the Plague Marines are going up against the Orc Commandos, and this is using the Volkist terrain setup number 2 from the official ops card that came in the Hivestorm box. So there is a couple of additional rules we haven't done so far. We'll quickly cover those after looking at the teams. So after an awkward fight of who should get the green dice, it was decided that the Plague Marines are getting the green dice, and the only choice you have with their kill team really is, do you want the Malignant Plague Caster or do you want a bog standard warrior? Both have their advantages and disadvantages. The Malignant Plague Caster seems really good, so he's being brought. We have the Plague Marine Champion, we have the Fighter at the back here with the Flail, we have the Heavy Gunner with the Spewer, we have the Icon Bearer at the back here, and then we have the Bombardier, which is the easiest one to remember because he's modelled flinging a grenade. Faction equipment they're taking is all their unique stuff, so Poison Vents, Plague Rounds, Plague Bells, and Blight Grenades. We covered what all those did last time they were on the table, so by all means go check that out if you want further detail, but we'll talk about it as it comes up here. And as a reminder for their faction rules, there are strategies so they can shoot twice or fight twice, Disgustingly Resilient so they can bring down wounds taken. What is their third one again? There's Poison, of course, the Poison rules to do some more chip damage if they manage to poison an enemy. It's a horde of orcs, and actually two of them, the littlest two, the Grot here and the Bomb Squig, they count as half a selection each, so you bring them together to equal 1. You get your Orc Commando Boss Knob, which is the big guy with the power claw at the back here, and then you are to select 9 operatives, but as I say, they count as 1 together, so then you have 8 others. And just to quickly go over all of them, we have the Comms Boy here, we have the Daka Boy over here, and then in the next row we have the Breacher Boy here, who can break open walls to create new doors. The Rocket Boy, the Slasher Boy, is that what he's? Slasher Boy, yep, the Slasher Boy, he's the easy one to remember because he's just filled with knives. The Sniper Boy, and then 2 bog standard Commando Boys, and that is it. The one being left out is the Burner Boy, because apparently that's the one you're supposed to leave out. They have one faction rule, so that's easy to remember at least. It's called Throat Slitters. It just means every friendly commando operative, except for the Bomb Squig, can do a charge even if they have a conceal order, which is usually something you're not allowed to do if you have a conceal order. Speaking of which, the Grot will only ever have a conceal order. He is not allowed to have an engage order. Faction equipment, all their custom faction equipment is being brought. Choppers, which just replaces basic melee weapons, or fists rather, with a slightly better, kind of like the Phobos knives essentially. Dynamite is a 1 per turn or game? It's a once per game, really powerful throwable. Harpoon is a once per turn, pretty good ranged attack that everyone except the Bomb Squig and the Grot can use. Basically all these say the Grot and the Bomb Squig can't do them. And then collapsible stocks, which adds 4 inches to the short range of Daka pistols, the Shocker pistols, and any sluggers. And that about covers it, except for strategy ploys and firefight ploys that we'll see as we go. So let's go talk about the extra steps that happen here now that we're trying to play the full rules of the game. So, first of all, let's go over objectives. 1 in the centre of the table, 1 down here, and 1 slightly at the top end of the table there. I did a slight turn on the camera just so all 3 would be visible. And it's the same deployment zones as the last kill zone type we used, so 6 inches in from the left and the right. So we'll be fighting down the middle line essentially. So the way an actual game of kill team works is there's always a kill op, and that is indicated by this card, and you go up kill grade, so it's not just a case of, oh, you got a kill, here's a victory point. No. Based on the number of miniatures in the opposing force, the number of kills required to go up a kill grade increases, although it seems to always start at 1 for the most part until you get to, well, actually no, because the orcs are 10, it's going to be 2 kills against them, so that makes sense because there's a lot of them, but they die easy. So this is what denotes your kill grade, and up here it tells you how to score from it. Whenever you move to a new kill grade, you score a victory point. At the end of the 4th turning point, i.e. the end of the game, if your kill grade is higher than your opponent's, you get a bonus kill point. So that is just always in effect, and then the other thing that's always in effect is whatever crit op you have decided to play. And we decided to pick one that's actually very similar to one they gave you in the starter set. This is Crit Op 1 from the ops that come in the Hive Storm box. It's just secure. You can spend 1 AP to secure an objective from turn 2 onwards. If any objective markers are secured by your kill team, you score 1 VP. If more objective markers were secured by your kill team than your opponent, you gain 1 VP. So a max of 2 per turn from turn 2 onwards. The last step is your tac op. Now the thing about tac ops is they don't get revealed at the start of the game. Just as an example, without showing them off here. So tac ops are picked. Most of them are when you do the thing that would actually score you the thing on the card, you reveal them. So we don't reveal them yet. They'll come up as we go, and they are based on the archetypes of whatever kill team you're playing as. So I think it's Recon, Security, Seek and Destroy, and Infiltrate, I think. There's like 4 to pick from. And the only other selection is you then take a card, which is also in the Hive Storm card box. On the other side of this, it will either say Crit Op, Tac Op, or Kill Op. And that's your primary op, which will then score additional bonus points based on how well you've done at the thing you think you're going to do best at. So this doesn't get revealed until the end of the game. Only other thing to mention that we haven't done prior is right at the start of the game, you select whether or not, well, in the scouting step it's called, you select whether or not you want to take 1 extra bit of equipment for a 5th selection, play a ploy for free in the strategic phase of Turning Point 1, or get a free reposition, I think it's of 2 inches, we'll cover that when and if it happens. And it's kind of like a rock, paper, scissors. Equip beats ploy, ploy beats reposition, reposition beats equip, and that decides who gets to pick who goes first. If 2 people pick the same thing, then it's the roll-off situation. And I think that covers it. So we're going to get all set up and be ready to go after this quick word from my channel sponsor. This video is sponsored by Noble Knight Games. Check out the video description below for an affiliate link that will take you through to their store, and it will help me out as well. Thanks. And so we are set up and ready to go. So it came to the scouting step and both sides picked reposition. It's not a full reposition, aka a move. You have to stay within 3 inches of your drop zone, which is 6 inches in from the left or the right. So, Plague Marine Champion got an extra 3 inches because he wants to be closer to that cover to hide behind it, and on the right side of your screen the Breacher has moved up, so he's within an inch of cover. So I think the Plague Marine Champion's actually outside of 1 inch of that cover, but either way, not many people can see him. And in terms of where everyone else is deployed, the Malignant Plaguecaster and Icon Bearer are bottom left. All the rest of the Plague Marines are in the base of the top left building, most of them near the front facing door that will give them a place to push out from. The Orcs, they're all hiding in the buildings for the most part. Behind the Breacher is the Comms Boy and one of the regular boys. The rest of them are split across the 2 buildings, top floor and bottom floor. The one to the top right of your screen has the other boy, the Daka Boy and the Sniper. And then the one closest to screen over here has the Rocket Boy, the Boss Knob, the Grot and the Squig and the Slasher Boy. I think that covers everything. We'll obviously get better angles once they actually activate. Forgot to cover, but the Boss Knob is the only one on the Orcs side that has 3 APL. He can give away his APL to someone else. The rest of them are 2. So there's more of them, but they do less than your average Space Marine or Space Marine equivalent. So with that, we're jumping into the start of the game, unless any side plays a strategy ploy, and we'll cover that if they do. Here's a view of the table from the Plague Marine side, given that they are activating first, and it was the champion. He was hoping for initiative to get that champion into cover safely, and moving a dash got him right against the heavy wall there, so he's definitely not even visible because that's pretty tall, and he's in a good position to either go after Objective 2 down here, or Objective 1 in the centre of the map, depending on which one he wants to. Again, no scoring on any of those though in turn 1, so it's just about repositioning. One of the bog standard Commando boys activated first for the Commandos, just did a reposition behind this bit of cover here, and Commando boys have a rule called Tactical Whatnots. You can do each of the following once per turning point. A friendly Commando boy can either use a smoke grenade or a stun grenade. He's popped down a smoke grenade. It basically just creates a bubble, as long as you're within 2 inches of it, that makes you obscured, I believe. I think you can still be shot at, but you're obscured. Either way, it's just to make sure they don't kind of get shot from the side in turn 1. At the top of turn 2, you roll a d3, and then that's how many activations into the next turning point the smoke dissipates. The Malignant Plaguecaster activated did a dash out in a reposition, which got him behind this bit of cover here. That is heavy cover, just for the record. There is an equivalent bit at the top end of the table as well, that's slightly closer to the orcs side of the table, so it's kind of mirrored in that regard. So he is hiding behind heavy cover, which might matter in case anyone wants to shoot at him from a vantage. The Orc Slasher Boy activated, losing an inch of his movement to go through the door that is against this wall of this bit of terrain, and then did a dash after a reposition rather, and has ended up sneakily hiding there, just waiting for a chance to stab somebody repeatedly. The Plague Marine Fighter with the flail activated. He was under here. There is a door against this wall here. He went through it, losing an inch of his 5 inches, then did a dash. Has 1 APL wasted, but I like that he's waiting on that corner for somebody to come round, so we just get a face full of mace plus nurgling. The Bomb Squig activated. He was right in the corner there and has just moved up, and he's very small, so I think he's completely hidden by this bit of terrain here. And he has a kind of one-time use explode, which is probably not surprising because he's covered in explosives. And it can also trigger if he is killed at range as well, and when that happens you can actually choose to double the chances of it still going off, just in case you want maximum chaos. A bit of a kill time activation next for the Plague Marines, because the Plague Marine with the Spear activate, he's just moved right up to the door under there. Because he was a little bit off to the side to let the fighter out first, he doesn't have enough even after a dash to kind of get in a position where he'd be totally safe, so instead he's just going to bide his time. From there he'll still be able to threaten Objective 3, or, well, probably just Objective 3, yeah, in Turning Point 2. The little grot in the stealth suit activated. He was inside under the terrain here. He moved out and did a reposition followed by a dash. As long as he, and I mentioned at the top of the video, he can never have an engage order, and also thanks to his, what's it called, sneaky Zogger rule, as long as he's in cover he cannot be targeted, and that takes precedence over all other rules, including being shot at from someone in vantage terrain, so he is especially sneaky. Second last activation for the Plague Marines, barring any counter actions, was the Grenadier, who just climbed up onto this window. I believe the windows are heavy, obscuring, so he's pretty safe. The Breacher Boy activated and simply moved against the wall there and is doing nothing else. And the final activation in Turning Point 1 for the Plague Marines, barring counteractions, the Plague Bearer, sorry, is it called a Plague Bearer? Icon Bearer. I keep on using old terminology. He moved and is within an inch of that terrain there. That just counts as light terrain though, so it is possible he'll get targeted, but then he can counteract and get out of there a little bit. Well, it looks like he might be safe for now, because if the Rocket Boy was to fire at him, the tall corner of this terrain here is obscuring for sure, and it's heavy. So the fact he's on a vantage point, the downgrade if you're obscured is pretty rough, so probably not going to bother. The Comms Boy activated and has just moved up and is gathering around here. Gee, I wonder what the Breacher Boy is going to do in Turning Point 2 and why they're all gathered around him. As a counteraction, the Plague Bearer, I did it again, the Icon Bearer did a dash, and he's now like completely hidden by this angle here, very carefully positioned. The Orc Commando activated and dropped down off the building, repositioned dash, and his final APL was used on Get It Done, which is he picks a friendly non-bomb squig person within 6 inches and gives them +1 to their APL stat until their next activation. He did it to the Slasher Boy, so the Slasher Boy has 3 APL in Turning Point 2. The Daka Boy did a similar thing, reposition, then dash, and he's right on the corner there, not poking his head round, fearing action rather. So that leaves the Sniper Boy, who's probably not going to move from his perch, the Rocket Boy, who's also probably not going to move from his perch, and the other bog standard boy. So he'll probably do something, just a matter of what. A reposition and a dash got him behind the equivalent heavy bit of cover that the Plague Marine Malignant Plaguecaster was using on the other end of the table. So that's him there. The Sniper isn't going to do anything. He doesn't have a shot from where he is, but he doesn't want to give up the high ground over Objective 3. The Rocket Boy might do something, because I think you can target... I think you don't need line of sight. You can pick a bit of the floor, right? I'm going to go look into that. Well, I could have sworn I've seen people target the ground with like explosives in general. Maybe it's just grenades, but I couldn't find anything in the rules. So by all means let us know where are the rules specifically for that, because the blast rule doesn't say that. The selecting the target thing says it has to be a valid target you select. It doesn't say you can target the ground with a blast weapon. So yeah, need some pointers on that. We're going to play it that he doesn't have a valid target right now. At best, he would have been able to hit the Plaguecaster, I guess, if he'd hit the ground there. But yeah, we're just going to go to the end of the turning point. And at the end of turning point 1 is a big fat 0 for both sides, partially because the crit op can't score until turn 2. No kills on either side, so no chance at the kill op, and nobody revealed their attack op. So everything even Stevens. That was more like how a traditional first turn goes, I think, in games of Kill Team. It's just repositioning for the big brawl that happens in turn 2. And on that note, let's get over to it and get to the strategy phase for it. So at the top of turning point 2, the Plague Marines are going to be taking first activation again, but there's a bunch of stuff to cover. First, a 6 got rolled for the smoke grenades, so that's a 3, so 3 activations until the smoke dissipates. That's why the dice is over there on the right side of your screen. Strategic ploys. We'll just go over everything that the Plague Marines did first, although you go back and forth. They started with Lumbering Death for 1 command point whenever a friendly Plague Marine operative is shooting or fighting during its activation, or during an activation rather, in which it hasn't moved more than 3 inches, or whenever it's retaliating. You get the Ceaseless Weapon rule, which is reroll any dice of a selection of a number. So if you roll a bunch of 1s, say I'm rerolling the 1s. They also played Cloud of Flies. We're going to have to find some generic marker to use for this. Place 1 Cloud of Fly markers in the kill zone whenever an operative is shooting a Plague Marine that is more than 3 inches away from it, while the Plague Marine is within 3 of the marker. They are obscured, and it goes away in the ready step of the next turn. And it's going to be over here to obscure them. And independent of that, not for any command points, they are revealing their tac op, which was from the Seek and Destroy type. It is called Champion. Reveal when you select your first champion. As a strategic gambit in each turning point after the first, you can select 1 friendly operative to be your champion for that turning point. In each turning point after the first, whenever your champion incapacitates an enemy operative, you score 1 victory point, or 2 if the enemy had a wound count of 12 or more. So the champion for the first turn is the fighter, who is the one with the mace, flail rather, sorry, over there. For the orcs, Kommandos specifically, they spent 1 command point on Daka Daka Daka. That just means that they have the punishing weapon rule on all their ranged attacks for this turn. They also spent 1 command point on Skulk About. When an enemy operative is shooting a friendly commando operative that has a conceal order, you can retain 1 of your defense dice as normal without rolling it, in addition to cover or anything else that would let you retain free successes, which they kind of rely on because they all have a 5+ save, so they need it. And I think that covers everything. They're not revealing tac op, so the Kommandos tac op is still hidden at this point. We don't know what they're doing to score that. The objectives are now capable though, so that's a way to score, and with that, let's jump in. So as turning point 2 starts, doings are transpiring. However, the icon bearer for the Plague Marine being on the table means that the contagion strategic ploy is 0. You can just do it for free, so there's no point in not doing it. So retconning a little bit to say that it is in effect. It means you subtract 2 from the move stat of an enemy operative and worsen their hit stat of their weapons by 1. It isn't cumulative with being injured or anything like that. While it's within an inch of one of your operatives, one of the Plague Marines, or while it's within 3 if they are poisoned. Essentially, a lot of text, but that's what it means. So, the Malignant Plaguecaster took an engage order. He secured for 1 action point the objective there. That will be 1 victory point at the end of the turning point, assuming it's still under their control. An orc could get there and take it back. He then did a dash over to here, so you could clearly see the orc commando boss knob. And then it was just within 7 inches, so he could do his best spell attack, his best ranged attack, which is Entropy. 4 dice, 3 pluses, with a 3-7 split. He got 1 miss and 2 hits and a crit. 1 save for free because of not Daka Daka Daka, Skulk About. The other 2 were whiffs. He needed 5 pluses. Orcs, everybody. So that would have been 10 damage. However, he spent, or is spending, on Just a Scratch. That's 1 command point gone on Just a Scratch. You get to write off a normal damage die as not doing anything. So both the normal dice essentially get countered out. So just the crit goes through. That's still 7 wounds, plus poison. So that's really rough. That is half the boss knob's health just gone like that. It does mean the Malignant Plaguecaster is now exposed, but he did a good hit. Well, with Vendetta in mind, the Kommandos Slasher Boy activated. Remember that the Kommandos 1 row Throat Slitters means they can do a charge without taking an engage order, and that's precisely what he did to go after the Malignant Plaguecaster. There is how their rolls shook out. However, the Slasher Boy has lethal 5+, so that's actually 3 crits, which matters doubly because the stun or shock, whichever it is, on the Corrupted Staff of the Plaguecaster would mean after his crit resolves as a result of Severe, he had that, it would have taken away a normal hit, but these are counting as crits, so it actually doesn't do anything. So the Slasher Boy does 5, he takes 4 in return, he does 5, takes 3 in return, and then dies. Or rather, sorry, the Plaguecaster dies without resolving that final hit. And he does get poisoned in the effort, but he does take out the Marine Plaguecaster, and I think that actually means the kill up takes its first point because the Plague Marines are only 6. Let's see, starting number of operatives. Yep, 1 kill is enough to get to kill grade 1, so that is actually a victory point scored right there and then off the back of that kill. Because of the shock, which I think still procs, he's 1 APL less, which is ironic because he actually started with 1 more until the end of his next turn. But he charged, he fought, he could actually dash because he does have the bonus EPL now. That would mean he's going to get murderized by all the Plague Marines over there though, so I guess he'll just reposition slightly against the scenery here. And he took, what was it, a crit plus a hit. So he's got 7, so he's only got, oh wait, yeah, he's got 3 wounds left, so he's injured now as well, and poisoned, which is pretty rough. The Plague Marine champion activated and did a dash, and then threw a Blight Grenade. He had angle, line of sight there, so conceal didn't matter, and was just looking for enough wounds to kill the Slasher Boy. He got 1 hit and a crit through. The crit was a result of Severe, sorry, and the normal save, or normal hit rather, goes away to the automatic save from Skulk About. So he just needed 1 successful save on 2 dice, a 5+. Well, he would have needed both to be 5+s or one of them to be a 6. Got neither, that's 4 damage through. So unfortunately for the poor Slasher Boy, he is out of there. That is not enough to get the Plague Marines on the scoreboard for the kill op, because the Orcs started with 10 models. They need to kill at least 2 to get 1 victory point. But after that he repositioned, which is why you now see him there. So he's obscured by this heavy terrain here, and is also contesting that point there just to make sure they don't steal it back. So for the Kommandos, the Breacher Boy is activating, which is this guy here, and he is doing his breach action. I've got the card here, so I'm going to have to read it. You place a breach marker within this operative's control range as close as possible to a range feature within control range of it. So it's the wall of this building here. And essentially it just creates a door for people to get through, as long as, like, both sides, anyone can treat it as a door. It costs 1 AP usually. Well, if you're doing it as part of a charge or a reposition action, it is free, and the only stipulation is you can't use it while you're within control range of an enemy, or if the terrain feature isn't within range, or if it's greater than 1 inch thick, which it is not. At least in between those 2 bits it isn't. So he's actually ending up, as part of the reposition, in here. We'll have to use some marker to indicate there's now a door there for everybody essentially. And his other EP, since that was free because it was part of a reposition, is he is going to secure the objective in there for the Orcs. Puts him in a dangerous position, but that means all of those boys there now can just flow through. Well, the Plague Marine fighter could not resist at the opportunity of completing his tack op. So he charged up and over against the Orc Breacher there, and both their weapons have shock and brutal, and the Plague Marines got severe and poison, but the poison's not going to matter now because he rolled really well. Their dice are actually off to the side here. There we are. So the Plague Marine got a casual 3 crits and a hit. The Breacher Boy got a crit and a hit, but as soon as that first crit gets resolved, this hit gets discarded because of the shock. That crit gets resolved, it removes this, but then those other 2 crits just go through unabated, and that is a total of 15 damage. The Breacher Boy still does, what, 5? That's pretty good. So 5 damage to the Plague Marine fighter, but yeah, the Breacher Boy is absolutely squished. So that means a couple of things happen. 1, that's their first point on the kill op, and 2, that is their first point on the, what was it? Champion, because they've killed a model. It didn't have 12 or more wounds, so it's just 1 VP of the potential 2 you're allowed to score per turn. So it's not allowed to score again this turn now, but that is still them up now 2 victory points to 1 essentially. Oh, we almost forgot Disgustingly Resilient. It did not proc, so no difference. 5 damage still got through. He also had 1 APL left because he charged, he fought. He's got 1 APL left, so he has done the secure on that objective, which means they've now taken control of it over the orcs, although obviously the commandos are more than willing to try and take it back, although they would have to remove him from the AoE first. The orc rocket boy, commando rocket boy, activated, did a dash, took a engage order because he wants to fire that rocket launcher, and he did. He has a aimed version of his shot, which is why he dashed only. He has a lesser version if you actually reposition. Being a dash only heavy, it has ceaseless, and because he was firing into the interior of one of these buildings, someone on the ground floor, he gets lethal 5+ just as an extra, which mattered as it turned out. He got 1 normal hit. It would have been 3 normal hits, but that lethal 5+ meant he got 3 crits against the Plague Marine fighter down there in the depths of the darkness. Now he did well with his saves. He got 2 normals and a crit, so 1 crit counters 1 crit, and then he's using 2 normals to counter one of the other crits. So that still means a normal and a crit goes through though, and that is 9 damage. But that is only enough to kill him if the Disgustingly Resilient does not kick in. Actually, isn't there I think there's a ploy that lets you pass that automatically. Yep, I thought there was. It is called Sickeningly Resilient. 1 CP, firefight ploy, it means you automatically pass Disgustingly Resilient rolls, so each one of those does 1 less, meaning he lives because he has 2 wounds remaining, he's heavily injured and in a lot of danger, but he's still being a nuisance because that means he's still making it that you can't claim that point until he's dead. Bit of an awkward angle to get for this one, but the Plague Spear wielding Plague Marine who was under here activated, went through the door, repositioned, and that put him close enough alongside that heavy terrain that he actually has clear view of the commando boy behind there. So he spewed his filth at him and did pretty well, but the defense roll on the orc was also pretty good, so just a crit got through. No, sorry, 2 crits got through. I think. What was it? It was 2 crits, but it only does 3 per damage per crit. Yeah, he's poisoned and took 6 wounds, so he has 4 left. The Commando Boss Knob activated, hoping to do something with his life before departing this mortal plane. He repositioned onto there. He shot his slugger into the fighter, just barely managed to kill him. His attack roll was appalling, but luckily just did barely enough. That is a kill on the fighter. And even if Disgusting Resilient had procced or was automatically, it would not have been enough to save the damage. And that is another tier on the kill op, so that's up to 2 victory points gained from that. And he has 1 APL left because he's the only one on their team with 3, so he is recapturing by securing that objective in the name of Orc. The Icon Bearer did a reposition hop the wall there and then shot his bolt pistol into the boss knob there, and nothing to save the boss knob, so it was down to his 5+ save. The Plague Marine got 3 bog standard hits through, no 5+s, and no way to save him. He has 6 wounds left because he took 1 damage from poison when he activated. Forgot to mention that on camera. But he's taken 9 damage, so even if 1 was spent on ignoring one of those normal dice, still does exactly enough to take him out. So there's no saving him. The boss knob is boss knob no longer. What a shame. Not enough for another kill grade though, would need 1 more kill. He still has 1 APL left though, so once again, this middle objective that keeps on getting shuffled around is getting put back in control of the Plague Marines. The sneaky plan of the Commandos has been revealed with the next activation. The little grot activated, did a reposition here so that he is entirely, rather not solely, entirely within the territory of the enemy, which means their table half, not their deployment zone, and spent his other AP on the secret tech op, which is surveillance. The active operative has gathered surveillance. You have to be in your opponent's territory and you basically just look at them, essentially. You can't perform this action during the first turning point or while within the control range of an operative. So he's moved right there. He's not in a good place, but he's perfectly seeing the champion there and is reporting on them. So once per turning point after the first, if a friendly operative performs a surveillance action, you gain 1 VP. And if he's still alive at the end of the turn with a conceal order, you score another VP. So that's 1 flat right there, and hopefully worth it in the long run. Oh, that was very lucky for the grot because forgot the, I keep on calling him Grenadier, but it's Bombardier. was up there. He did a reposition and shot his bolt gun down at him because he can see him, so no cover, so his rule about not being able to be targeted while he's in cover does not apply. Only one hit and a crit got through, one automatic save got rid of the normal hit, and he did okay with his other 2 dice, so he got rid of the crit and has taken no damage. He's just backflipping over bullets. The bomb squig activated, who should have always been having an engage order. Sorry, missed that. He's not allowed to have a conceal. It wouldn't have changed anything. He was completely obscured from line of sight until now, so it shouldn't have changed anything. Anyway, he did a move, ended up within control range of the champion there. Then he is allowed to target himself with his gun, which is exploding. It's 6 attacks, hitting on 4s for 4/5 damage. And you do it on yourself and then also anyone within 1. So the play champion got hit. Would have been 9 damage as a result of a hit and a crit, but disgustingly resilient kicked in once. So he's got 8 wounds remaining. He then has to explodinate himself, and he got a crit and 2 hits against himself, and he rolled a crit and 2 normal saves. So he's actually taken no damage from himself exploding. As far as we can tell, that's how that works. He is a 5+ save, but yeah, he blocked his own damage, so presumably he is not dead and could potentially explode again, which is very, very strange. Now, also the Plague Marines are now out of activation, so they can counteract, and because he did end within an inch, he is entirely able to retaliate, if that's what they want to do. So, let's see, there's still a bunch of orcs to activate though. Well, sad face, the explosives has the limited 1 rule, so even if you live through it, you aren't allowed to do it again, which is especially bad because, yeah, the counteract from the Plague Marine champion swung his Plague Sword into the explosive bomb squig, got 2 crits, 2 hits, much more than enough against a 5+ save 5 win model, so he dies. Now if he hadn't have exploded earlier in the fight, oh, and also he rolled no successes on his attacks. He's hitting on, there was 3 dice hitting on 4s and he got whiffs. When he dies, you can either choose to roll 1 die or 2 dice, looking for a 4+ on either to trigger the explosion. So you can pick 2 dice if you want to. He has the expendable rule, however, so he does not count towards kill op. So a nuisance has been removed, but it does not give them a point. So over this end of the table, this wounded, or injured, use the correct terminology, Commando boy activated, spent 1 AP to secure that objective he's within the control radius of. Then he shot at the Plague Spear wielding Plague Marine, who's kind of out of line of sight just down here, and managed to whiff and didn't get any crits, so punishing from Daka didn't apply. Obviously he was hitting on 6s, so he just needed crits essentially because of his injured state, and now he's probably going to get retaliated against and turned into a pile of goo. Yep, sure enough, counteract the Plague Marine you can't even see because of this tall building. Activate against him, spewed on him with his Plague Spear. His defense roll was okay, but not good enough. Also forgot he should have had an engage order for 1, and 2 he should have taken a wound from being poisoned. Doesn't matter now because he has been turned into a puddle on the floor as I anticipated, and that does score them the 2nd point from the kill op. Now they've reached another kill grade. So, but that means he can't counteract anymore this turning point, so there is that. The Commando Daka boy took an engage order, moved on to the point, and just let him have it. Short range Daka shooter, which is 5 dice on 4 pluses, 3/4 damage with ceaseless, max range of 6, and just blew him away. I know you can't see him, but that is another kill. Oh, is that another kill grade? That's the important question. For a 6-man team to get to kill grade 3, nope, they must kill 4 now, so 1 more Plague Marine has to die to get a new kill grade. Going through the hole in the wall made by the Breacher boy, the Comms boy activated. He kind of attacks with sound, so you're kind of hoping for a bunch of crits, because then it does stun and devastating, but the only crit he did was saved after he repositioned in there to try and blow the head off of the Icon Bearer. We couldn't quite remember if the Icon Bearer had retaliated at all yet, or sorry, counteracted, so we did that, but it was actually a pretty bad roll that was fully saved by the Comms boy, so his bolt pistol must be faulty. The other bog standard boy did a dash and then a reposition, then a charge rather, to get into combat with the Icon Bearer. No APL left, however, to do anything with that, just trying to lock him in combat, and that takes us to the end of Turning Point 2 with everyone having activated for both sides. And that means that the Grot survived as well, so that is the full 2 points from their attack op. So at the end of Turning Point 2, with a lot of deaths on both sides, that's half the Plague Marines dead, and I guess if you count the bomb squig, that's half the orcs as well. So let's just go over how many scores have happened here. So for the Plague Marines, they scored 1 from their attack up for their champion getting a kill. They scored 2 from the crit up because they score 1 for at least having 1 secured, and then they score an extra 1 for having more. Then they also got grade 2 in the kill up, so they've got 5. The Kommandos scored 1 from the crit up for simply having a secure, but they didn't have majority, obviously, so just 1. They scored 2 from the attack up because the Grot did surveillance and lived till the end of the round, and they got to kill grade 2 as well. So as we go into turning point 3, both sides are even, 5 victory points apiece. Don't know if it feels that way with the fighting, but victory points wise, it's actually everything to play for. So at the top of turning point 3, the penultimate turn, the Orcs are going first. So let's cover their 1 strategy ploy for 1 CP. They're doing Wah! Which is just that in close combat, their weapons have balanced for a single reroll. Oh, knock the camera. And because the Icon Bearer is still alive, Contagion is back in effect because it's free. But other than that, they're holding on to their CP. So let's get on with it. Well, Wah didn't exactly help as the boy here activated to try and kill the Icon Bearer in close combat. Even with the balance roll, still just getting 2 normal hits through with that chopper of his up against 4 normal successes and a crit. So he is obviously going to do the standard hit through, which is 3 damage. Yeah, 3 damage, and then he takes 4 in return. He does another 3, and then he gets splatted by 9 damage coming in against him. Oh, that Cloud of Flies icon should have gone away, right? There we are. So, not great, but he did a little bit of damage before he got splatted, and unfortunately that does up the kill grade, I think, because that would be 3, 4, 5, not counting the squig, is 5, which is, actually it's not enough, no, it needs to be 6, so never mind, so at least there's that. The Plague Marine champion activated and totally forgot to cover in the top of the turn that he is literally the champion for the turn for the tac op, seek and destroy tac op, called champion. So he charged into the poor Grot, and as long as he rolled a crit, there was no point rolling out the dice because the crit just goes through and does enough damage to one-shot the poor little guy, and 1 crit was rolled, so that Plague Sword just clean takes his brain off and he's out there. He does not have the expendable rule, so that is another grade on the kill up. They're up to grade 3, so 3 victory points in total, and they got their tac op for the turn. He's only worth 1 because of his wound count, but still. And then he is also, may as well just use this die, right? Just for his final EPL, just capping that objective. The Commando Rocket Boy released another missile straight into the Plague Champion's face, another aimed one, which means he can dash only. Actually, does that apply to when after you've shot as well, or can he reposition? I think he can probably reposition, right? Because it's just prior to shooting. Either way, 2 crits got through after saves, and even if Disgustingly Resilient was auto-passed or passed in general, that would just be 10 damage down to 8, which is how much he has left. So, a massive explosion takes out the champion, and that puts the Orcs up to kill grade 3, I believe, because that is 4 dead in a 6-man squad. 6-man squad, 4 dead. Yes, I think that, yeah, that's kill grade 3, I think. Either way, yeah, he'll do a reposition to start moving towards objective down to there. The Icon Bearer charged into the Commons Boy. This is the first round of attacking. 1 crit and 2 normal hits versus 2 normal hits. The first thing the Icon Bearer is doing is countering away a normal hit. So the normal hit goes through, and then a crit and a normal hit come back through. So he's got a chopper as a result of the faction equipment. So that's still 4 damage. So that does take him down to being injured. But that crit and normal hit going through with the Plague Knife is 4, 5, 6, 7. Doesn't kill him, right? I think he's alive. Yeah, he's alive on 3 wounds remaining. But another round of attacks is about to happen, plus he's poisoned now as well. So he's probably about to get murdered anyway. Yep, sure enough, it's a case of as long as there's 1 crit rolled, couldn't use just a scratch to negate it and make the fight happen. The crit gets resolved first, so that's 4 damage, and is enough to take out the Comms Boy for the... It's awkward to get him. The entirety of the turn, but that does use up all of his actions, so he can't actually cap Objective 1. The Commando Daka Boy at the top end of the table there had a choice. Did he go for the Infiltration Surveillance tac op, or did he cap the objective up there? And as you can probably tell, he spent 1 EP to take that. He took a conceal order also, and has moved behind that heavy cover to obscure himself. So forgoing the attack op in preference of the crit op probably tells you what the primary op for the Kommandos is. Final activation of the turning point for the Plague Marines already, because both sides are running out of people, was the, I was going to say Grenadier, Bombardier, who moved, dropped down, dashed afterwards, and has ended up over there. He doesn't want to go up to that top objective because the sniper boy, who hasn't done anything the entire game, and yes, did forget to mention that he was doing nothing in Turning Point 2, but, you know, he did nothing. He's just been waiting there the whole game to do the one shot he's allowed to do out of conceal that does really, really good damage, and then he kind of gets a more normal shot after that doesn't do quite as much damage. He's not going to get a chance to use it at this rate, but he's done some great board denial, let's just put it that way. And it's got to stay that way. The sniper boy is the last activation of the round again, but it's just, he's got too much control from where he is. If he's allowed to do that shot, it will potentially do an insane amount of damage. It's 5 dice on a 3+. It's only 3 damage, so whether you get a crit or not, it's the same damage, but it has devastating 2. Silent, concealed position is the one that means he's only allowed to fire it once during the game. And heavy, so he can't even move at all and still do it. He has to just sit there and try and deny space as we go into the final turn. So at the end of a very quick Turning Point 3, both sides are scoring 1 from the crit op, neither are getting the bonus point for having majority, because both sides only have 1. The centre point was not claimed by anybody, despite a Plague Marine just sitting there, but that's how it shakes out. So when you take that into consideration, on top of the champion getting a kill for the champion Seek and Destroy attack op, and both sides going up a kill grade, total victory points are 8 to the Plague Marines and 7 to the Kommandos. So as we go into the final turning point, which is going to be real quick with how many bodies are left, there's everything to play for, but the Plague Marines are slightly ahead. Turning point for the end game, and Contagion strategy ploy is being played by the Plague Marines again because it's free, because the icon bearer is alive, and the orcs are saving their CP for rerolls this turn because there isn't going to be much fighting. It's going to be a lot of positioning, I feel. On that note, the orcs have won the choice of initiative and have chosen not to go first. So first activation for the Plague Marines was the icon bearer, who simply did a little bit of a dash and then claimed the crit op with the secure. And in a very tit for tat maneuver, the Daka boy at the top of the table activated, capped the crit up there, and is remaining hidden with that conceal order, which I have forgotten to flip over, but he's still just chilling up there. The Bombardier did a reposition, dash, and then secure on the crit op right there, and that being heavy terrain has really screwed the sniper boy the entire match, because if that was just light terrain, he's on a vantage point, he could have just utterly ignored it and still shot people behind it, even if they have a conceal order. Oh wait, no, his doesn't have Seek Light, does it? That's the Space Marines version it does. So never mind, it still would have been a problem if they have a conceal order, which he decided to keep. So it's over to the rocket boy to end the game, because I don't think the sniper boy can do anything from where he is anyway. The poor rocket boy. Nothing he can do will change the outcome of this match. He only has 2 EPL, so he could reposition and shoot, maybe, but from where he is, I don't think, like, we've measured a little bit, I don't think he can, well, with 6 inches, you know, he could see that Bombardier, I mean. It's very, very unlikely, maybe even literally impossible for him to kill him, but I'm willing to take that chance. Well, he tried. He actually did pretty well. He doesn't get ceaseless because he moved and fired, unfortunately, but still managed to get 2 crits, 2 hits. 2 normal saves from the Plague Marine cancels out those 2 normal hits right there, meaning 2 crits get through, and even if he just lets them through, that's 10 wounds, not enough to kill him, so sadly doesn't change anything, and could spend a command point to make sure Disgustingly Resounding kicks in, bring that down to 8. And he could counterfire off of the back of that, but that's at most, well actually, maybe that was a mistake. How much damage would he do on a counteract pistol shot? The absolute most he could do, yeah, actually, the most he could do could potentially kill him, so this might end up being a mistake. Oh, actually, because of that conceal order, I don't think he would have been allowed to shoot back, but we had already rolled it out, so whatever. It was looking bad because he got 2 crits and a hit, but Rocket Boy coming through in the clutch to save himself from doing something stupid. Got 2 crit saves and a whiff, but hey, that just means 4 damage goes through, so who cares. And that takes us to the end of the game, and now we need to work out how the primary op affects the scores. So at the end of the game, nobody scores the bonus victory point for having a higher kill grade than the other. Both sides ended on kill grade 3, so no bonus points, but still. In that round there, the Plague Marines scored 2 for the crit op, 1 for having at least 1 objective, 2, and then another 1 for having more, and the Orcs scored 1 just for having 1. Which means we ended there at the Plague Marines having 10 and the Orcs having 8. However, each side had a primary op, and the way it works is the primary op, the victory points you scored for whatever op you have selected, you get bonus victory points equal to half rounding up, I believe it was. You know what, I'm going to double check live to make sure it was rounding up and not rounding down. At the end of the battle, players reveal their primary op simultaneously. They score additional victory points equal to half of what they scored rounding up. Okay, so I already gave away what the Orc one was. It was the crit op, and for the crit op, they scored a total of 3. So that is an extra 2 VP, taking them to 10. The primary op for the Plague Marines was the kill op, which they scored 3 for, so they'd also score 1.5 rounded up to 2, so the gap between both sides stays the same, meaning the Plague Marines have 12 and the Orcs have 10. And that is going to be it for our first full proper game of Kill Team using the approved ops pack that came with Hivestorm. You can buy it separately if you don't want Hivestorm. And hopefully most things were done correctly and or remembered. Obviously mistakes are made, so do keep that in mind. But in terms of like the extra additional rules now for scoring and crit ops and whatnot, and primary and tac ops, hopefully that was all done correctly, or at least close to. The Orcs seemed fun. The sniper not getting to do anything for the entire game sucked, but area denial is not, you know, it's not worthless. Like, Plague Marines did not want to go to that top half of the board there because he had perfect line of sight on all of it. The heavy gunner was going to die to the sniper if the gunner hadn't done so well with his roll, so that would have probably been a waste of his concealed shot, to be honest. I'm kind of glad that didn't happen. But yeah, hope that was fun. Please do remember to show your support if you've been enjoying Kill Team on the channel. I'm enjoying playing it and getting into it, so I would like to play more. Leaving a like or a comment is a good, easy, free way to help, but if you can spare a little bit extra, pressing the thanks button or becoming a channel member is great. Or if you want to pick up some stuff for yourself from my channel sponsor, if you do it from the affiliate link, I get compensated, so we both get something out of it. Either way, enjoy the rest of your day, and see you next time. Ta-ta for now.